Welcome to our safety presentation for volunteer workers participating with the rebuilding efforts taking place in New Jersey. This presentation has been designed by the Greater New Jersey Methodist Church and customized for use solely by Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity is committed to the rebuilding efforts for those affected by Superstorm Sandy. You should know that we are also committed to the volunteer workers that are giving their time and energy towards these efforts. While your volunteer efforts are very much appreciated, we must emphasize how important it is to work safely. We would like you to understand that there are inherent hazards at construction sites. All volunteers need to work within their own skill sets and be constantly aware of potential hazards. In this presentation, we will review the types of hazards you could encounter and what precautions and safe work practices can be used to minimize the risk these hazards could impose. We would also like you and your team to be prepared for emergency situations. Please review this brief presentation in its entirety and speak to your Habitat for Humanity contact if you have any questions. Safety is everybody's responsibility. Your rebuilding assignment has been assessed by the construction director. The building has been assessed for structural integrity and safe utilities, including gas and electric. The property has already been cleaned up in preparation for the rebuilding efforts. Steps have been taken to remove damaged items and debris and to remediate mold as needed. If there are potential hazards, the job site manager will meet the team at the job site to discuss. It will be the responsibility of the team foreman to review these issues with their team. We understand that you might have experience with drywall installation, painting, repairing porches, etc. The difference here is many of these properties suffered extensive damage from the forces of nature. By inspecting this photo, you may be able to identify issues that could pose potential risks to you and your team. What could possibly go wrong in this picture? As recommended by the U.S. Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, let's examine these hazards that volunteer organizations could encounter during rebuilding efforts. Working on an elevated surface, poor housekeeping, slippery conditions, electrical wiring, use of hand tools, heavy lifting, heat stress, and lastly, biohazards. According to OSHA, one of the top safety hazards at construction sites is the lack of fall protection. Ladder safety is important. Please use ladders in the manner for which they were designed and watch the weight limits. Inspect ladders for damage and use unstable surfaces. Maintain a 3-point contact, 2 hands, 1 foot, or 2 feet, 1 hand, and always work facing the ladder. Extension ladders need to have a 4:1 lean ratio and a 3-foot overhang. Never step on the top of a step ladder, and never work on a ladder in front of a doorway without proper warnings posted for other workers. Do not work within 10 feet of energized power lines. Along those same words of caution, slipping and tripping is another common way of getting hurt on the job. Good housekeeping means picking up clutter and debris as you are working. Keep a watchful eye for tripping hazards and securely protect floor openings. When it comes to electrical work, only qualified electricians will repair and replace wiring and energized sources. Please do not use power tools if you lack experience. Always check extension cords and circuits for overheating and use GFI power strips. Do not use damaged extension cords. And always be careful of any freestanding water. Electrical shock and burns can occur even with low voltage tools. Most properties that are being repaired will not have working air conditioners, and if you are working in the warm summer months, temperature and humidity can take its toll on all workers. Drink plenty of water and take frequent breaks. Monitor others on your team to make sure they do the same. If anyone experiences extreme symptoms such as dizziness, sweating, headaches, nausea, fever, or intense thirst, then seek medical attention right away. Regardless of your physical shape, improper lifting or moving heavy equipment can result in muscle injury, with the most common being back injuries. If anything is greater than 50 pounds, use a cart or dolly for handling and movement, or work together to move it. Note the visual demonstration here of proper lifting techniques. Bend your knees, not your back. Here's a list of other potential hazards you could encounter. If you suspect backed up sewer water in a workspace, contact your host and do not work in that area. Never use an emergency generator inside, because the off gases could create a deadly atmosphere. If you smell gas or suspect a gas leak, immediately evacuate the building and call 911. If your work activities generate dust, ventilate the work area and wear the appropriate respirator. Do not block or lock exits from the inside. If you are entering a crawl space or other space that has been closed up, be mindful of nature's creatures, such as spiders, bees, and snakes. Please take responsibility for your own safety. If there are certain tasks that you cannot perform, back down and let someone else do it. We recommend that you practice good hygiene and wash your hands with soap and water during breaks and before eating. All volunteers should have an updated tetanus shot. Please review this list of personal protective equipment and make sure you are prepared with the right clothing and safety gear before you arrive. A first aid kit should be with your team at the job site to handle minor injuries, cuts, bee stings, etc. A fire extinguisher should be included with your supplies in case of a small, incipient fire. Make sure you have all emergency contact numbers and emergency information with your team foreman the whole time you are at the job site. Please note the location of the nearest medical facility in case of a serious injury. Here are some final tips. Please make sure that your team foreman or other responsible person is at the job site at all times the team is working. Illegal substances, alcohol, firearms are not allowed at any job site, and horseplay will not be tolerated. Please work safely. There are no rewards for speed when safety is jeopardized. We want each of you to have a rewarding experience. By working together as a team, much will be accomplished. Thank you for volunteering for Habitat for Humanity and being an important part of our Christian housing ministry.